All right, so let me introduce Dr. Delvina. She has an extensive background, so we may not get to cover everything that she has done, but I'm sure you'll learn more throughout the session this evening. Okay, Dr. Delvina Thomas is a mother, American soldier, a scientist, and a physician who advocates tirelessly for healthy living to strengthen individuals, families, communities, and workplaces around the world. So we know we have the right person for our session this evening. She's an ardent champion for sound mental health and an expert in the development of evidence-based prevention, as well as treatment strategies that foster it. So we're going to learn today her expertise and some strategies she's going to give us to help us be our best selves in the workplace and out of the workplace. So a lot of things we may bring to the workplace are baggage sometimes that we, pick up throughout life. Because we're humans, we have many parts of us, and we're moms, we're wives, we're mothers, to neighborhood kids. And in addition, we're caregivers to people in our community and may have an abundance of things on our calendar to do, and we can't be everything to everyone. But we want to make sure our mental health is in check. So Dr. Thomas is also a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves and a veteran of Operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom, who has completed 3 tours of duty to Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait. She is focused on providing mental health care for those soldiers, which she has done, needing to use stress reduction therapy with their family and connecting with their family again, and ensuring that they have great spiritual well-being. Her private practice today, she provides individual, couple, and group therapy to address several issues, including performance problems experienced by serious amateur and professional athletes, addiction, sexual dysfunction, mood and anxiety disorders. She founded a nonprofit organization called the DRT Brain Love Foundation in 2018 with the mission of providing a culturally sensitive and holistic approach to mental and behavioral health for disadvantaged individuals by encompassing awareness of education, prevention, and treatment modalities to improve the quality of life. She's a consultant for companies and government agencies. She has been an expert speaker on Miami's Hot 105. You guys know Hot 105 in the morning. I listen to all the time. Tom Joyner Morning Show, the Rick Party Show. She continues to lend her expertise to other radio shows as well. And again, around the community, the best part that I love about Dr. Delvina is that she is my soror. Full deck 52. So I said, as soon as I learned about her and what she does and the amazing work that she does, I said, oh my gosh, I have to have her speak to my network. I have to have her speak to these amazing ladies that are in my Slay the Workplace group and within my reach and my network. So I'm just so honored that you're taking the time out, Dr. Thomas, to talk to our group and share your wisdom and knowledge and your experience in dealing with mental health issues, so that we can be our best selves, especially as we're looking forward to 2020. So we have a few questions that we're going to ask you, but before I get started on that, Dr. Thomas, do you want to say something to the attendees to let them know more about you, maybe something that I forgot or overlooked in your bio? There's so much to cover because you are awesome. So whatever you want to share, go ahead and start.
No, you know what? I think you covered most of it. I think you were able to share with folks why they should listen and why they should have this dialogue with me, why I'm the expert. I actually really just wanted to set the stage and give people some background as to why this discussion is so important that you created for tonight. So, maybe people don't understand why we're discussing mental health, and especially mental health in the workplace. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have some things here. I pulled up some recent data and information. So in case anyone is wondering, we spend more money on mental disabilities than we do physical disabilities. We spend more money on folks who are missing work because of mental health issues than they do for physical health issues. So at any given time, every week, there's 500,000 employees who are home from work because of mental health issues. We also spend about $56 billion on days due to absences because of mental health issues. We have 30% of long-term disability claims are because of mental health issues. So that's like a third of disability claims of folks who can't go to work for a long period of time. Those are due to mental health reasons. And also almost half, it's really 44%, but almost half of the employees on a given job are missing days or suffering because of a mental health issue that may have occurred in the workplace. Now, by age 40, 50% of the population will have or had a mental health issue in their past. So they will have or did have a mental health issue. That's 50% of the population by the time that they're 40. So of course, that's the working class, right? Most people finish college or schooling or training by their, their 20s, mid-20s, maybe their late 20s, and then they go into the workforce. 61% of workers said that their productivity has been affected by mental health issues. 61%. That's a pretty significant number. Now, the last data I'll share with you is this. We're doing a pretty good job in helping people to understand, younger generations, that mental health awareness is important. 62% of millennials say that they feel comfortable discussing mental health issues in comparison to only 32% of baby boomers. So double the amount of baby boomers, the millennials feel comfortable, 62% of them, in discussing their mental health issues. So I think that is an awesome thing. We've made some progress.
Okay, so here's the thing. I am so happy that you have talked about the differences between generations, because the generational difference and the stigma is a big deal. And many people don't realize how they have to be aware of the different generations when they're talking about mental health and dealing with mental health. So I think it's so great that you pointed that out. I think we have a variety of people in our network, and they may not be just from one demographic and one age group. So I thank you for pointing that out.
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. Let me see here. I am going to start some questions here. All right, let's see here. All right, so our first question is, how do we know when it's time to focus on our mental health?
Okay, so you know when it's time to focus on your mental health because usually something about your regular routine, it changes. I make the assumption that when you're in a routine, it's a pretty good, healthy routine where you're doing things that are recommended, like you're talking to family, you're talking to friends, you're eating an okay diet, or you're at least eating, you're hydrating, maybe you're doing something fun for activities, that sort of thing, and you're going to work if you're someone who's employed. So one of the ways for the working population that we know we're suffering or there's an issue with our mental wellness is that we start to change. Certain things about our routine is different. It could be something as simple as waking up later than usual. Maybe you're a person who usually awakens at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., but because of sadness or depression, you've been laying in bed until 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and getting to work late. More severe than that is missing days from work. So oftentimes, once the depression or something, whatever it is, that's a mental health problem for that person, could even be stress on the job. Sometimes people miss days at work. They start to call in or bang in and not go to work, especially if there's something in your workplace that is causing you stress or causing you to experience sadness or melancholy. So I would say a change in your routine, such as laying in bed later than usual, or changes in routines with like your eating habits, your sleeping habits, how you interact with other people, how you treat your loved ones, how you treat your children, how you engage your friends and your family, and also missing days from work.
So I think what you're saying is, self-reflection is important for us to check in with ourselves, because sometimes we can get into a mode and not realize that, it's stemming from feeling overwhelmed or stressed out in one area of our life. So it kind of carries over into all these other areas of our life. And like you said, you can come from work and being overwhelmed and stressed, and because you don't have the strategies to deal with the things within your workplace, your family gets the worst of you, right? So they get attacked, and you're short-tempered and you don't have any patience. to deal with people with, instead of just dealing with the issue at hand. And sometimes we may brush those things off, like you said, eating habits. You just start doing things without thinking, without realizing, wait a minute, my behavior is changing. So we have to always check ourselves and say, okay, what would I like to improve upon? What do I see myself doing that I used to not do? You know, do I feel, because we have, we can pick up when we're being a little snippy too much, or, you know, when we're gaining weight. We can point those things out in ourselves, but we have to command our minds to take time to do some self-evaluation. Do you agree?
I do. I do. And with that, everyone should have a baseline. And what I mean by that is, again, the routine. And so, you know, the thing about life, to be successful, is you have to be proactive in everything. So that means being proactive in how you're living your life and how you're engaging other people. Being proactive means establishing healthy habits, such as, you know, on most days or during most meals, having a healthy diet, establishing a good sleep hygiene or sleep routine, having good open communication with folks, or having a support network that's positive. And that could be different networks. It could be people at work, because, you know, oftentimes we'll set up different types of networks. We'll have our friends or our associates at work who are the positive people we like to turn to and kind of process some things that might be going on the job. We have our friends that maybe we grew up with. They may not live in our close vicinity, but they're a call away. We have our family members. We have our significant others who might be a source of positive energy as well. So you have all these different support networks, and it's important to create those and to maintain those things too.
That's good. You know, who you're around can greatly impact your mental health. And sometimes you just, especially as the new year arrives, my friends, you have to evict some people from your influence circle. And I say influence circle because we want to make sure that the people who are influencing our decisions are the right people, not someone that has Velcroed themselves to our lives and they have brought their baggage with them and then burdened us with it, therefore impacting our mental health. So you need to protect your space and protect your peace. And in doing that, it requires you to set aside some time to do some evaluation about who's within your circle that may be negatively influencing your life and your decisions.
Now, can I interject something?
Yes.
So people often will ask me, well, this person who's a negative person is my sister, or is my cousin, or, you know, is some other family member or a friend that you grew up with. And they say, how can I just not have them in my circle? And I explain to people that your circle has many layers. So you have your innermost layer, you have the next layer outside of that, then there's another layer, and then you have that last layer that's kind of way out there, right? So those negative people, you still sort of have them as an associate or someone that you know, but you put, and especially when they're family, right? Because you just, most people, unless something very detrimental occurred in the family, you're not necessarily completely cutting folks off in your family, depending. So, because we can go into that a little bit too. Personality disorder sometimes leads to family members completely cutting off a family member. But if there's still someone who exhibits positive traits or good traits, you might keep them in your circle, but you put them in sort of that outermost layer. So you just have to know where to position people.
That's good. That's good. Exactly. Because people feel like, okay, I can't delete this person from my life. So now what do I do? Like you said, there are layers to this thing. And then who's in your innermost sacred space should be people only that you have invited to that space. And who you know have your best interest in mind. Good. This is so good. This is so great. I mean, this is good stuff, Dr. Delvina. Okay, so
you're a genius. You're a genius. This was an awesome idea.
I mean, this right here is so needed. And I can't wait to hear the feedback from ladies who have listened to this live stream to get their strategies in place and clean out and evict people from their space and things, habits, getting over those habits. Negative habits. All right, so our next question is, what are some ways to handle feeling overwhelmed while you're on the job? So, you know, circumstantial, right? So you're at work, you already have, you know, stress because maybe your workload or maybe people in the workplace. But when you're at that limit, right, how do you handle feeling overwhelmed while you're at your workspace? So not when you're at home, not before you get in the door, but when you're there and the moment arises where you're in a meeting and someone insults you, or you're at your max. How do you deal with that? What are some good suggestions that strategies women can use to diffuse conflict or to deal with situations where they won't have a mental breakdown in the workplace?
Okay, so I think that was like a two-part question. The first part was, how do you prevent yourself from feeling overwhelmed in the workplace?
Yes.
And then the second part was, how do you diffuse situations that occur? I guess with relationships with other people in the workplace. So the first thing, to prevent yourself from feeling overwhelmed, everyone has to embrace the notion that most Americans are overworked, right? We're overworked and undervalued. And I'm saying Americans because in our society, because we don't do this siesta thing in the middle of the day like a lot of other countries or cultures where you work in the morning, they appreciate you need to take a break, maybe a nap, then you come back for a couple hours, go home. So we're trying to get the most done with the least amount of resources. We're working long hours. There's no kind of consideration for the body and the body needing rest, and the brain and the mind needing rest. So the thing that you have to remember is, on your job, there's only so much you can do, and especially during the workday. So what you have to do is prioritize. That's number one. That's how you prevent yourself from feeling overwhelmed. There's two main things: prioritizing and accepting that you can't get it all done every day in one day. Because listen, in most positions, things are going to overlap. They're going to overflow into the next day. I learned that early, right after I graduated from residency, and I took a job in the prison system. And each day I would try to get all of my paperwork done every day. And then it finally dawned on me after a couple of months, I will always have work. I will always have paper flow. There will always be something coming up. It's just a matter of, on each of these days, prioritize what the most important thing is, the most time sensitive thing is, the most damaging thing if it doesn't get done. So, and you also have to create a schedule for yourself so that at work you have a routine. The same way you want a routine at home with certain things, you want a routine at work. And sometimes I suggest to people, you may have to go in, especially if they tell me, when I get to work, everyone comes to my office and they have questions. Or people come into my office and they want to sit there and ask a question and talk. And I tell them, listen, if you have to close your door and put a sign on the door that says, in a meeting or on a conference call, or do not disturb during the hours of whatever, then that's what you should do, especially if you're a person who is assisting other people. So they're coming to your office a lot to ask you things. You should have like open door hours. So maybe questions are taken during 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or 10 a.m. to noon, and then you go to lunch. So if your day starts at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., you come in, check your messages, check your email. You establish that routine so that things are pretty much the same. And then if you have open door hours, then that sign says, okay, I can talk to you, but you also have to set limits. So when people come into your office, they need to have respect for the fact that you have to get your work done. Because guess what? If 10 people do the same thing that one person is doing, all of those 10 people will get their work done. You'll never get your work done. So you have to be able to say to them, okay, or I gotta go, or, I gotta move on and do something else. I can't concentrate when I'm talking. Or what I've done is I establish with people, I have 5 minutes to talk to you because I have to move on to the next thing. Or I have 10 minutes to talk. I'm calling you back, but I have to move to the next call. Just to let them know I can't sit and grab ass on the phone, for 30, 40 minutes. So you kind of set up that time limit. You set the limitations, prioritizing, having a routine, and accepting that you cannot get it all done in the same day. You just sometimes have to carry things over to the next day. That's the answer to the first part of the question.
Listen, listen, let me tell you something. The fact of starting the meeting with a time limit, and let me tell you something, that is everything. Because
I'm telling you.
when you start the meeting with the time limit, you know, you let people know from the jump, hey, like you said, I don't have all the time in the day to be on this phone call with you or to have this session with you. I have something set up. So their expectations are, let me narrow what what my subject is so that it can be quick and succinct so we can deal with the solution. Otherwise, you get all the other baggage of the mess that people try to put on you, all their excuses or whatever their conversation is, and it's time consuming and draining, and it takes away from your productivity. So a lot of that happens, especially in the workplace. People will stop by your desk unannounced, and all of this, you know, that they want to put onto you because they have nothing to do. And meanwhile, you're not productive and you feel overwhelmed at the end of the day because you didn't get your to-do list done.
And listen, while you're feeling overwhelmed, they are going home out the door, girl, on time with their purse and their stuff, going to happy hour or wherever they're going. They're on time out the door. And you're at your desk like, shoot, I didn't get this done.
Listen, they are 4:58, okay? 4:58, they're done, okay?
Right.
All right, so the next part is, how do we diffuse conflict in the workplace? What are some suggestions you can give?
Ooh, there are so many suggestions, man. It just really depends on the situations, the personalities, the people, right? So what I tell folks is you want to lay a foundation that's healthy. You want to lay a foundation that's positive, right? So remember, I mentioned the word proactive. So anything you do, you have to think about putting good energy and positivity into it so that the end result is positive as well. So being proactive, you do things to prevent a bad outcome, right? And so in the workplace, it's the basics. So the basics are do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? The basics are reciprocity. The basics are everyone is going through something. You never know what someone is going through, so be kind. Those are my three main basics. Now, the other
say that again. Say that one more again so we can make sure that people can write it down and tweet it and share it on social media. Give me one more again.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The second one was reciprocity. Those are the first main two. The third one is be kind to folks because you never know what someone is going through. So give people the benefit of the doubt. If someone seems like they're having a bad day and they're being mean and they're being rude, or don't counter that with more rudeness or negativity. Smile and just say to them, good morning. I know you're going to have a good day, or nice seeing you, or hi, or whatever, or just smile. You don't have to say anything. So those are my three basics. And trust me, I'm not perfect. And I have to remind myself of all three of those things. Now, I'll tell you, the one of doing to others as you would have them doing to you, I think I kind of got that down packed because of my parents always drilling that in my head growing up, right? The reciprocity, I'm big on that in business relationships and in personal relationships with my family. If I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of thing. I'm not saying that if I do for you, you have to do for me. I'm saying that give into the energy circle, give in positivity, and you'll get out positivity. It may not come right when you want it, but eventually it'll be there. And the other thing is just remembering people are going through something a lot of times, and they may not say it. They may not be comfortable saying it, and they may not feel like they want to say it because they don't want to seem like they're trying to garner sympathy. But just always remember, we all have a story. We're all going through something, regardless of how good someone's life seems. Everyone goes through something because this world is not perfect. We were born into a world of sin. Everything that we have going on here is not good. There's evil. So all of those powers and that energy, they're playing out and manifesting in our lives. So you have to just remember everyone is going through something. So those are the three basic things. And then you have the other stuff that helps to lay a foundation on a job. Now, let's say you go into a job and you're the new person on the block. You should be applying all of these things. You should always apply these things anyway. But sometimes what happens is that people are in a job and they create a reputation for themselves as being the negative person, or being the mean person, or being the person who doesn't speak, or being the person who has to always overtalk everyone, or being the person who doesn't say hello, or whatever the case may be. So whenever you go to a place, hopefully you can create a culture for yourself that people know that you're respectful, you're considerate, you're following those three basics, And you're also doing things like speaking when you walk into a room. Because I noticed certain basics like that, people no longer do those things. When you walk into a room, I was taught as, you know, a very young child, when you walk into a room, on an elevator, wherever it is, you speak and say hello, you smile, hi, how are you, whatever. You know, sometimes you might want to say your name and shake and introduce yourself, but you give the pleasantry for that time period of the day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be. The reason why I'm mentioning these things is because you asked, how do you diffuse or how do you deal with certain stressful relationships? So from the start, by being a positive, good person, you'll prevent yourself from creating, a lot of times you'll prevent negative relationships, fostering negative relationships, because you're getting off good and positive energy. Now, sometimes you work with someone, or you may work with some people who have their own mental health issues going on. That's a whole nother conversation. How do you identify when someone has a mental health problem, right? Because sometimes, regardless of everything you're doing, you may be doing all this stuff that I just mentioned, and someone is still very difficult, or your manager might be a shark, or the person you share an office with is just rude and nasty to you, or so with those types of things, just understand that you cannot control those people. And I think that's where the anxiety and the stress comes into play, because people try to control the narrative for someone else. The only thing that you can absolutely control is how you respond or how you react to those persons and their shenanigans. You can only control how you respond or how you react and what you do. So if you remember that, that too can help with those relationships, because you're going to ignore a whole lot of stuff. You'll ignore a whole lot of tomfoolery if you embrace that you can't control what they do. And you'll start to ignore them and not let them drain your energy.
This is so good. This is such great information, Dr. Thomas. I mean, let me tell you something. The people are getting what they signed up for, okay? Because starting from the start, especially when you start in a new workplace, you set the tone for how people are going to perceive you, how they're going to engage with you, you know, how they're going to, you know, interact with you on a day-to-day basis. So from their reaction to your positive or negative energy, that could set the tone for how you feel in the workplace. So it is important for you to be conscious of your own contribution to that relationship before you just suggest that the conflict is solely the other person's fault, right?
I love how you said that. Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, this is so Felicia says setting expectations, like before what we were talking about, expectations for your end of day and how you function in the workplace. She says she had to accept the fact that it's okay to set expectations and carry over work to the next day, because especially as perfectionists, a lot of us, you know, want to get it done and get it done completely and feel like we have, you know, completed our day on a high note and we have accomplished everything on our list, and therefore we are awesome and we can now go on with the rest of our evening feeling like we are superwoman, we can do it all. And you're not always going to get that feeling at the end of a day, but what you have done should be sufficient, and you should also pat yourself on the back and say, I have been productive. I have accomplished something within my workday that has led to, you know, a positive outcome or me completing a task on my list. One of the things that has worked for me and my clients and is, you know, prioritize, like you said. I have top 3 things. If I can get to just even one of my 3, I've had a good day, you know, because I got something done that was on my list that I set out to do. That might have been a carryover from yesterday, but at the end of the day, I accomplished something. I don't feel like I did nothing. And sometimes we're just too hard on ourselves. We're too hard on ourselves because we can do all the things, and we can't do all the things at the same time.
Right. We have to limit our expectations of ourselves.
That's right. That's right. And give ourselves permission to be human, you know? And that's a huge part of how you deal with stress and feeling overwhelmed, is that we sometimes we carry this false understanding that we're robots or we can handle all these things. And it's okay sometimes to take a break and take a breathe and say, you know what? No, I can't help you on this project. No, I can't, you know, I can't do this right now. And that should be okay, because you can't pour out of an empty vessel, right? And we're going to get to that. This is some good stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so so we had some questions come in the email too, so I'm going to ask those a little bit later on. Remember, guys, if you're listening right now, I believe in our Say the Workplace group, Dr. Delvina's social media handles are in that group. I know on Twitter because I was just tweeting her. Let me see here. I was tweeting some information about her. Dr. Delvina is your Twitter. Dr. DRDELVENA is what it is on Twitter. But if you're on Facebook or you're on LinkedIn, please share all the golden nuggets that Dr. Delvina is sharing with us this evening, because these may be helpful to people in your network, and they can connect with her and get her great advice, and maybe work with her and see how she can help them through some things that they may be dealing with in life. So don't be shy about that, and ask your questions. We have a private chat going on the Zoom webinar. You can still send me a private message on Instagram or on Facebook if you have a question that you want to remain anonymous. That's fine. Send in your questions so that she can answer them. That is what she's here for, to help you to be your best self. Okay. All right. So our next question is, can poor mental health negatively affect your career? We know that it can, but in terms of you thinking about your growth, your professional development, right?
Yep.
So what are some of the things you have seen or have dealt with, within your work industry, and dealing with people who may have not gotten advances within their career, or don't know how to manage in networking situations or whatever that's preventing them from their career growth? What are some things that you can, point us to say, what, these are some things you can tweak to advance yourself within your career and protect your brand?
I have to go with one word, and this is why people a lot of times don't advance or don't excel. Confidence. Confidence. Not having confidence in themselves and their abilities. So they're always looking at the next person, comparing themselves and feeling like they're less than that person. They walk into a room and they don't walk in with their shoulders high and back and their head held high. They're not confident in their own abilities and don't really believe that they can be that person. And so if you don't believe in yourself that you can be that person, who else is going to believe in it? So I think as far as excelling in your career, and getting to that next level, a lot of people are missing confidence in themselves and they're quick to give up. See, someone who is confident, they will not give up. They're not going to throw in that towel because they know I have what it takes to do this. It's just timing. It's just timing. Or maybe I need to tweak this or tweak that. See, because confidence doesn't mean that you feel like you are always the best and you don't need to improve. The way that you get what you want is by always continuously improving and tweaking things. When you're not confident, you're confident, you can't get to that next level. So from what I've seen, a lot of people are not confident, especially women, not confident in their abilities. You got to dress the part. You have to look the part. You have to be confident in how you dress and wear your hair, and and how you do if you wear makeup. You have to be professional in how you do that. Confidence, professionalism will help you rise to the next level in your career.
That's good, because some of the challenges that people face, like you said, is if I don't feel good that day, then I show it. It's all over my face. It's in my body language, and I'm coming off like I really don't want to be here, or I am unsure of myself. This is a big issue, especially during interviews.
Yes.
People go into interviews with not that confidence, that just because I may not, may stumble on your question doesn't mean I'm incompetent. So if you can come back from that and say, what, I haven't learned that yet, and speak in your truth, stand in your truth, and be okay with that. And know that that's sufficient. Doesn't mean that you're not growing and learning. It means that, you have work to do, but where you are is still a good place. Who you are is still a good person with value. And I think that, like you said, we get in our own head because maybe there are things we have not accomplished yet that we carry on ourselves and say, well, I haven't done this yet, so I'm not qualified to be in this room or have this conversation or meet with this person. And therefore, we lack confidence in doing those things that could advance within we could use those things to advance in our careers. So I'm so glad that you pointed that out. what do you think is a key element for someone to be confident besides their body language? What could they practice and do? Is it investing in themselves, increasing their knowledge? Is it consistency in doing something? You know, what are the things that tools they can use to boost their confidence beyond just their outward appearance, but also their day to day?
Learn your weaknesses. Learn where you're weak and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to learn where you're weak and you have to make that better. A good manager, a good leader, a good boss, a good senior person understands that someone is always working on themselves, that we don't know everything. And you don't want someone who thinks that they know everything, because that means they don't believe that there's room for improvement. So the one thing is acknowledging, learning your weaknesses, acknowledging where you're weak, and tweaking those things, or learning, augmenting your knowledge so that way you're no longer weak in whatever aspect that is. So learning where you're weak and tweaking it, always learning, always trying to find something new, networking, being around different people that may be in the same industry or have a similar position, and hearing from them what they do. So knowing where you're weak and tweaking that is another good way of building your confidence, because a lot of times people aren't confident because there's certain things they don't know, and they know they don't know them. And so they're trying to hide that.
Right, instead of facing it and dealing with it, right? Yes. And being okay with it. Let me tell you something, Davina, you can say this, I'm sure, with confidence right here. Half of these people out here that we put on a pedestal, they don't have it all together. They do not have it all together. They do not have all the answers. They are not the all-knowing people that we have put them on this pedestal. They're humans just like us. And you'd be surprised, you know, the people, once you really get to know them, you're like, I don't know what I was so nervous about or what I was stressing out about, feeling like I'm not as valuable as them, because they don't have it all together.
But see, we do that a lot. We create a narrative for someone, and I don't know why. Like, we fill in all these blanks and create this story for this person, and they just sit back and let you do it.
Right? And they'll just jump right on past you like they got it all the way together. Meanwhile, it's falling apart, you know? So be conscious of that. So yes, I'm glad, Mahalia, we asked her, she asked the question, the same thing that I asked you. How do we as women achieve this confidence daily? All right, so our next question is, let's see here. Let's talk stigma. How can we get past the idea of being strong women and be okay with asking for help? I mean, how many people, you know, have we experienced that will just take it all on and never ask for help because, again, they are strong women, they can do it all. You know, how do we as women overcome that feeling or that stereotype that have been put on us, or that we feel that we should accept, that especially as Black women, that we can do all things and we can never show vulnerability? How do we deal with that?
Yeah, you know, I had a patient one time tell me, I don't say no to people because they think I have all the answers and they think that I can handle everything. That's really misrepresenting, right? That's misrepresentation. No one can handle everything. And I told her, by giving all of your energy to everyone else and not saying no, you don't have anything left for yourself. And so we start that by being able to say no and tell the person why, like, you know, I have a lot of things going on right now. I'm a little overwhelmed, or I don't want to get to the point where I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's being comfortable with being honest, being comfortable with knowing that you're not Teflon. We are not made to be Teflon. We all have a breaking point. And I think that people break more easily, especially women, when they're always putting on a front that they don't break, or that they're Teflon, that they don't cry, or that they don't hurt, or that they don't get overwhelmed. So they're always trying to put up that front. And with trying to put up that front comes stress, because that means you can never say no. You always have to say yes. You always have to be wherever someone wants you to be, doing what someone wants you to do. So we start that process by being honest with ourselves and saying, I can't do it all, by setting limits, by letting people know, hey, yeah, I couldn't do it. So I just had to say no to that. It's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to share with someone that you're feeling overwhelmed or that something's causing you anxiety. So you just have to be okay with being honest.
That's good. That's good. We can get stuck in that place and feel overwhelmed and feel like we can't say no to people because we don't want to seem like we're incapable. It's not being incapable, it's knowing your limits, right?
Exactly.
Just because I say no to something doesn't mean that I couldn't do it. I don't have the capacity to do it. It means that I'm not willing. That's not more important than my mental health and my, keeping my safe in a peaceful, my place in a peaceful environment,
And listen,
Um,
you don't want to be all over the place. You don't want to be doing all of this and that. You don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's
that's
almost like
right.
saying, yeah, it's like saying quality over quantity, right?
Yeah. Quality over quantity. You can't be all things to everybody because you're not doing one thing in excellence.
Right.
Okay, so question number 5 we have here. What is the most important piece of advice you can give to those who are struggling to keep it all together? Obviously, we talked about saying no, but what are some things that we can do in our private time, in our space at home? Maybe not in the workplace, but maybe some strategies that we can implement, outside of work that can help us to manage all the things that we try to juggle. We talked about prioritizing, we talked about saying no, healthy eating habits. But what's your number one thing, your go-to things you say if somebody's coming to you, I'm broken down, Dr. Thomas, I can't do it no more. What can they do right now?
Oh, what can they do right now? The number one thing is just reassurance for yourself that you will always have a breaking point. Sometimes that happens, especially if we can't say no. Because sometimes, let's say your mother is sick, right? You got to go to work. Maybe overtime is required. Your kids have things that they have going on. Maybe you're a single parent. So there are some times where saying no is it's not an option. So you have to believe in yourself that you will get through it. You're going to do the best that you can at what you're doing. And again, it's that word confidence, having confidence in knowing that you're going to make it through. You have to have hope. You have to have faith, right? So the number one thing, and this is why I have this pillow in my office, because people have to remember to pray. People have to remember to have hope. People have to remember to love. So there's certain simple things that you can do that don't cost a thing, that don't cost anything. Prayer, meditation, and just being in the moment and accepting that there will always be something that's happening or going on or something that's unexpected. You already mentioned prioritizing, having a schedule so that you can kind of keep track of what you're doing. And then also just simple things like breathing, getting into yourself, mindfulness, being able to sit down and say, and I've done this a lot of times, oh my gosh, this day I'm having, whoo, you're just affirming for yourself that yes, this is a bad day. And then the next step is, or it's a challenging day, then the next step is, okay, what am I going to do about it? What is the plan? And some breathing. So sometimes I'll just sit here and breathe, because a lot of things can be out of our control and we just have to kind of come up with a game plan. So you got to stop and breathe and be in the moment and reassure yourself that things are going to be okay. And then, of course, there's a lot of other things you can do that involves different techniques. And you said at home, what can we do? Because we spend so much time in the office, I would say that there's certain things you should have in your office too to help you have a better day. If your day for some reason is not going well, you need certain things you can turn to improve your day or have a better day, so that you don't have to wait until you get home to make yourself feel better.
That's good. I know when I became overwhelmed at work, I used to just hate the fact that I had to get out of my car and walk into the building. I would take time to decompress in my car, and just take a moment before I stepped into the environment that I know is toxic or it's causing me stress. So take time for yourself. And then when you are on the job, in the situation, it's great to have those moments that you can go to something maybe on your desk and read an inspirational quote or something,
Right.
or take a break and walk away, maybe take a break, go outside and get some fresh air for 5 minutes, you know, so that you're not, because when we're in the moment, we're stuck, you know, in that place. We can find ourselves, emails are flooding in, the phone's ringing, all the stuff we have to do in our life. All of this is happening at the same time. So
Right.
it's okay to, you know, push the pause button.
The
Hold
fresh
on a minute.
air is important. The fresh air, taking yourself out of that environment and walking outside and just walking a little bit and breathing and enjoying the fresh air. That's important. You'll go back in feeling refreshed. So the fresh air is important. You can do things at your desk, like listen to podcasts that might talk about how to redirect your thinking, or making your negative thoughts into a positive thought, or giving you affirmation after affirmation. So that's a good thing too, listening to podcasts at your desk, or positive sermons or something like that, to help kind of redirect your thoughts, so you're not all bogged down in all the negative energy that's happening on the job.
Now, you spoke of podcasts, so you know I'm going to hit you up on this. Is there a you know, a few podcasts that you can recommend to our guests? Maybe you can send me some names or some information afterwards. Maybe put them in the Facebook chat or email them to me so I can share it with the people who are listening. Would you be willing to do that?
Sure. I mean, there's a popular one that everyone likes to listen to, whether it's at work or at home trying to relax. It's called the Calm app. CALM, the Calm app. And so for some people, they do it at work to help them relax, to get their mind off of things. And some folks listen to it at night to help them relax so they can fall asleep. But I'll let you know. I'll give you names of some other ones also.
Okay, and then this was not on our question list, but I just thought of this while you were speaking. You know, I love to read books. So is there any particular book that comes to mind that you can recommend that can be helpful to, you know, women who are, you know, going through, maybe they don't, you know, have the answers and they're just trying to figure out some strategies or just some inspiration on how to get through hard times that they may be going through?
So allow me to un momento, please.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, guys, listen, put your questions in the chat. We have some really good feedback. One of our viewers says, this is really helping me, and she wants to know if that pillow is available for donation. She says this is a great inspiration.
Okay. So, you know, I have it at home, I guess, but I wanted to pull The Purpose of Life. So I think that's a good one. And then this one, Pulling Together, is one that's helpful for, like, especially if you work on a team and you sort of kind of want to be reminded of certain things as far as accomplishing things at work. And then this one I have read several times, When to Speak Up and When to Shut Up. Now that might sound kind of like, but it helps you in understanding that silence is therapeutic. Silence is important. So we don't always have to feel like we have to engage a situation or allow someone to pull us into a realm of energy, negative energy that is. So a lot of times something can happen and we can just remain silent. We don't have to say anything.
Listen, so that is good. You know what I'm going to do for my viewers? I am going to give away, I'm going to send through Amazon the book, Know When to Speak Up and When to Shut Up. That's going to be my Christmas gift to one of my viewers. So I'm going to pick a random person. Okay, that one's good. I'm going to pick a random person from the Zoom chat and from Facebook, and I'm going to Amazon you this book. So I'm excited that you shared this with me. I'm going to get it for myself as well. So I definitely want to deposit into my viewers. What's this one you have here? It's the next one.
You know, along the same lines, talk less, say more.
Okay. Talk less, say more. Listen before you actively listen. Actively listen.
Yes.
Not with the intent to speak and return with your thoughts and all the things you've been thinking to rebut what somebody's saying.
Listen. So, and the thing is this, conserve some of your energy. That's what it is, really.
Not everybody deserves it. Not everybody deserves that what you're giving them just because you want to prove them wrong, right? Being right is sometimes not worth your sanity. Hello. All right, so we have a question that came in via email. We have one of our viewers that says, how do you work with a supervisor who rarely follows through on their commitment for meetings, even after speaking, with you've spoken with someone else and there's nothing done as a change. For example, they say they will meet with you for a monthly goal status and 2 months go by and nothing occurs. How do you deal with a superior that you take issue with because you are trying to be your best self in the workplace, but you feel that that superior is not interested in your advancement or in your your being effective within your job? How do you approach that situation without being targeted by that supervisor?
So, I give people the benefit of the doubt on things. So if it's a supervisor who's not executing tasks or following through on their word, it's probably because they got busy and got pulled away with certain other things. So what you do is you follow up with them. So let's say in a meeting, they said, oh yeah, let's go over some of your goals and stuff and what you can do to improve. We'll do that every month. The month goes by and nothing. Take the initiative and say to them, hey, I don't know, Tanya, I wanted to schedule a meeting so we can go over these things. We talked about this last month. How is tomorrow over lunch, or how is tomorrow at 3 o'clock? Or so just you schedule it. Be assertive about it and schedule that. No supervisor can be angry about that. You're trying to be your best self. So you take the initiative and you schedule for them, or you be assertive. You get on their calendar, you call, you email, you stop by. Even if it's an impromptu meeting, you're stopping by and they're like, oh yeah, come in. Be prepared. So just always be prepared, because you might catch them in a hallway. Sometimes the supervisor is so busy and spread thin, you just always have to be prepared to have that talk that you're looking for. If you want to go over some information with them or show them some data on stuff that you've been doing, be ready to have that stuff there, because that might be the only chance you get. So just be assertive, follow up, reminders. I don't think that would be problematic.
I love that you said be prepared at all times. Sometimes we put the expectation on these other people to come up with the solutions for our problems, okay?
Right.
And we're not prepared to have those conversations or prepared with solutions when we speak with them, because their time is stretched. The higher you are up in the chain, the more things you have on your plate. So those little, sometimes those little conversations or details may not be a priority for them. So if you're going to come to them and take their time, then you need to have some solutions or ideas on the table to limit the rambling on that maybe you don't feel like you're treated fairly and all this other whining episode that may incur because you're not prepared. You start filling in the space with nagging or complaining, and that's burdening the boss, and they're never going to want to make time on the calendar again for any of the issues that you may have.
Right. And you got to take control. You got to take control. If they're not giving you that meeting or that feedback monthly, you take control. When you're in there, you can say, how does it sound for us to meet on Fridays at 11 o'clock? Just 10, 15 minutes every month. And I'll tell you, the next time they're considering someone for some position or whatever, they're going to think about that person who has the initiative, takes the initiative to make things happen, because they know that they've been busy and they've been irresponsible, or they've been they haven't had time to do what they said they were going to do. Maybe not irresponsible, but just spread too thin, and they haven't been able to get it done, or keep their word and have this meeting. So I think any boss would appreciate it if their team member or their employee comes back to them and says, hey, you got to do this. Come on now, I want to show you this.
That's right, exactly, because them doing great work helps the team and makes the boss look good anyway.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I see you have some things on your table I want to go over. I'm done with the questions for right now, but share with us some things that you have on this table. It looks pretty nice over there, so I want to know what's happening.
Well, so this is like my other home, right? Being in the office and working, just like many of you. You go to work all day long, you spend a lot of time there. So you want to ensure that you have what you need if you're having an off day, if you're having a challenging day. So the first thing is always have water in your office. You can't see it here, but I have cases of the water that I prefer. So I always have water. The thing that people minimize with water is they think water is for physical hydration, hydrating the skin, right? It's not just that, hydrating the skin, hydrating the body. You need water to hydrate your brain. Our brains are 70% plus water, made of mostly water, over 70%. And so when you're not drinking water and you're not hydrated, we know that people process information slower. They can't be as attentive. They might be sluggish. So drinking water all throughout the day, all day long, is helpful to the brain. It's not just for physical reasons. Your brain needs it too. So always have water. If I'm having an off day and I want to sit here and just kind of be in the moment, maybe meditate, I have some sage that I burn as well. Some people believe that sage helps to get rid of negative energy also. So it depends on what you believe in, but I do have sage and I burn sage in the office. These are incense, so some aromatherapy. I wish you guys could smell these. I wish you could smell these. Just smell so, they're just lovely. So
what brand is that? What is that, so that they can know how to get it?
So I sell these in my spa on the first floor where the office is located, 2699 Sterling Road. So you can come in and you can purchase these here, but a lot of different places sell incense also. I think the brand that we use is called Tradeberry. I don't remember, but we sell them in our wellness spa that's on the first floor. And I have a mix of different things. You have to learn what scent or what aroma is helpful to you or is exciting to you or is uplifting for you. Like for me, I like lemon zest. Lavender is always relaxing for me. I have candles also that I'll use to help with just sort of feeling better or lifting my mood. Ginger, I like the smell of ginger. For me, ginger is therapeutic. So you have to learn what's relaxing for you. And sometimes it's all about nostalgia. Sometimes it's about, what you did as a little girl that made you feel better. I grew up in Maryland for the most part, and whenever it was cold outside, I liked to have like a hot tea, hot chocolate that just always made me feel like real, like just comfy and just at peace. So in my office, the other thing that I like to do is have hot tea. Usually in the morning, I'll have a latte or something like that. But throughout the day, I don't want anything with caffeine. So I might have some ginger. I might have some turmeric roots, just some different teas. I just like sipping on something hot when I'm having a challenging day. So everything comes down to what works for you. You have to kind of figure out what's relaxing for you. You can't see it here, but my window, I have the shade all the way up, because I love the sunshine. I love when the sun comes shining in. Again, especially maybe if I'm overworked that week, I've been on call and I'm a little sluggish or tired, the sun helps to uplift me.
The sun. Listen, I work from home. I love the sunlight. It gives me, I don't know, it's just so much positivity in sunlight and opening up a room to let the sun in. It feels like, I can do this. I can accomplish anything. When it's a lot of people who live in the north, especially during the winter, it gets all gloom and doom, and depression sets in. So it's important to create the space, even if you don't have the natural light or something like that. Like you said, these things like the incense and the sage create that peaceful environment, especially for people who work from home. A lot of people work remotely as well. So the things that you have recommended can be of such great help to them. And like you said earlier about, listening to those positive affirmations and podcasts, those are things you can do while you're at a desk, but also things you can have going in the background if you're at home and you have some free space. Even if you're in the office and you can't, burn sage or, have your incense, you can have a candle and not light it and just sniff the candle,
right.
While you're at the desk, to have that sense, that can bring that calm over you. So these are some great recommendations. We're getting a lot of great feedback. one of our viewers says she wants you, and they listen, they want to know where you at, okay? They want to drive on down to the office. One person wants that pillow. She wants a donation. We have people asking about how can they get the incense and the sage, and they want to know what your hours of operation are. Give the people the information, Dr. Thomas. They want it.
Let's all be great. Yes. So we're in Fort Lauderdale. We're at 2699 Sterling Road. It's the Emerald Park Complex. We're in building C, as in Charlie. The main psychiatric office, our medical practice, is in C407, so the 4th floor. And I'm saying we because it's not just me. I have some wonderful people who work with me. We have therapists here. We have social workers. We have a psychologist, Dr. Jessica Alamans, the psychologist here. Our licensed clinical social workers include Jamila Trimble, Lisa Fertel. I also have psychiatric nurse practitioners who work here too and assisting with medication management and some psychotherapy. Dr. Adrienne Messa's one, Rochelle Boyd. We have another psychiatrist, Dr. Naomi Genty Higgins. And we're all similar. We all believe in all these alternative things to help with living a balanced life. Downstairs on the 1st floor, we have our wellness spa. That's where we have some of our incense. We also have aromatherapy oils that I don't have up here. And in both offices, we sell CBD. We didn't get into that, but CBD is one of those things where some of my patients who have anxiety, they're using drops of CBD to help them feel more relaxed at work. And we also do massages. We have our wellness spa on the 1st floor where we do massages and facials. And we also have a nutrition coach there as well. Anything you need to help you live your best and healthiest life.
And what are your hours of operation? Did I miss that one?
I don't think I said it. So we're here mainly Monday through Thursday. We don't do, so I believe in, and this is why we're having this discussion, with my staff, you can't work on people's mental health challenges every day of the week. So we see people clinical Monday through Thursday. The spa is open Monday through Friday by appointment only. We see patients as early in the medical office as early as 8:30 a.m., 8 a.m. on most days, 8:30 on some days, and we go as late as 6 p.m. Okay. But that's Monday through Thursday.
And the clinical is 9 to 5, right? You said?
The spa is more Monday through Friday, and you can have evening appointments, weekend appointments, but in the clinical office, I would say we're more like 8 to 6, Monday through Thursday. Okay.
I'm putting this
last
in check.
At 6 o'clock.
Okay, last appointment's at 6. Listen, the people are gonna be running down to your office. Let me in.
We are here. Rain love. We're here for this. You know, we care about people living their best life because life should feel fun. Life should feel worth living. It should not feel like when you wake up in the morning that you don't want to be here, or when you go to bed at night that you don't want to be here. And this is why we do this, because we want people to feel happy, to feel content.
That's right. This is good. This is such valuable information. I've gotten tons of great feedback through social media and then through our chat. I am just so grateful that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to share these great tips with us, give us some strategies to put into place. And also, I feel that, you know, I feel a little bit more confident about how I can approach things in my own career in my life, because now I feel that, you know, I have some strategies that I can put into practice based on our conversation here this evening. So I want to say thank you to you. I know that I can speak for a lot of the viewers who are very appreciative as well for you taking time out of your evening to spend with us.
And I just had a premonition. God just spoke to me and said, tell Mary, we have to have a mental health day for people to come in and maybe all morning long or all day, we have workshops on mental health and wellness and work, you know, things regarding work. So other strategies regarding careers and life and, you know, how to make a good resume and a cover letter and all the other mental health things too.
This is good. We're going to be chatting. We'll be on our text message and talking about this. It's so necessary. And I just wish we can just spread the word a little bit more broader to, you know, outside of our immediate network. But I feel like we have caught on to something great that we can share and expound upon. So I know this is going to be great. I'm going to, let's see here. People are saying, I appreciate her. I love her. She's amazing. I mean, we have such great feedback for you,
Thank
Dr.
you,
Thomas.
Thank you.
Felicia says this was great. Awesome job. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Is there any last words that you want to share with the audience? Anything that that they can do if they want to reach out to you immediately? I know you're on Facebook, but if you want to go ahead and give those handles out again, and let people know, you know, how they can reach you if they want to set an appointment or come down to the office.
Sure. On all of the handles, it's Dr. Delvina, DRDEL, V as in Victor, ENA. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Dr. Delvina Thomas. My email, if anyone wants to email me a question or wants to contact me, is info, I-N-F-O, at Dr. Delvina, again, DRDEL, V as in Victor, ENA, .help, which is HELP. And the office number, if you'd like to call and make an appointment, we take most of the plans here. Unfortunately, AvMed, they have Magellan for behavioral health, and they no longer cover in Broward County. So we used to take AvMed, but we take all of the other plans, including Medicaid plans. You can call the office at 305-981-1700. And you asked me if there was something I wanted to share, and it is. And so I think I need to remind everyone that mental health issues or mental illness are covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act. That means you can receive FMLA for a mental health issue. If you have a loss of a family member, a death of a family member, if you're experiencing stress, and so you're having anxiety or some type of depression, by law, your employer has to allow you to have FMLA for your mental health issue, whatever that may be. By law, you're allowed to miss days from work because of a mental health issue. By law, you're allowed to receive short-term disability and long-term disability if it goes that long for a mental health issue. Sometimes people are not aware or they forget that mental health issues are also governed or covered under those different acts.
That is so important for people to know. A lot of people are not aware of their rights and things that they can do to protect their mental health. And because a job will have you thinking you have no time other than vacation or sick day, and not account for the mental health days and the things that you have to deal with as a human being working for them, and to be engaged and productive in their workplace. And a lot of employers don't realize how much productivity is lost because they do not invest in and prioritize mental health resources and avenues for their employees. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. A lot of people just don't know because they're stuck in the rat race and they don't have the information.
I mean, I was going to say, their employers are not telling them, and that's why a lot of them don't know. And if you're able to, or if your job has it available, always get short-term disability, because you never know what can happen.
That's good. Great advice. Not good, great advice. So I know you ladies enjoyed this session. I've got a lot of great feedback, but I thank you for your time. We're going to wrap up now. We're only a few minutes past, which is great. I feel like we had a lot of great content this evening, and people are already asking about when is part 2. We'll have to talk about that. But I definitely, again, want to say thank you so much for taking your time out of your evening to spend with us and share your great advice and tips and your background with the ladies. One more again, can you tell us how long you have been in practice? How many years have you been doing the great work of mental health?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. 2007, I finished my residency. I actually started training in mental health or psychiatry in 2003 when I graduated medical school. So I've been exposed in the field for 16 years. As a practicing psychiatrist for 12 years. And the first 8 years, I worked in the Federal Bureau of Prisons as a chief psychiatrist. I've been in the Army Reserves as a psychiatrist for 16 years and been in private practice for about 5 years. So
basically my point is we have the right person on the line, okay? We have the right person, okay? She has seen it all, been through it all, and we have the right one for the job. So
I didn't even see that coming. Okay.
I wanted to remind people, okay, of who we have before us. All right, Dr. Thomas, I'm going to let you go. Again, we'll be talking soon. Ladies, if you have any additional questions, put them in the chat, and we'll see if Dr. Delvina has time to respond to the chat. This is a recorded live stream, so for certain viewers who have requested a copy of the replay, we will send that out, and Dr. Delvina will have a copy for herself as well. So enjoy your night, ladies. Have a great evening. Thank you so much
Bye,
for joining in the live stream.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.